I never thought I would say this, but I think the Berkshire 13F is probably less worth paying attention to than maybe ever before in my lifetime. I think it's absolute incoherence from the outside looking in. I don't think there really are any fundamental takeaways on individual companies. I don't think there are any sector bets that make any sense for a non-Berkshire treasurer. I really just think
let me ask you this.
They've got a couple
Let me ask you this.
All right, go ahead.
Well, let me ask you this, because it's a very interesting part. Forgive me for cutting you off. It's a very interesting point you make. And when we were talking about the 13F from Berkshire the other day, I mentioned how, it's all conjecture and speculation. And it's so hard to read into it because, Buffett is where he is in his life at this point. He has other people who are running the portfolio, so whom you don't hear from really ever. So it's really hard to get into the mind of Berkshire Hathaway in a way where it wasn't like that for many of the past years.
So here's what I think happens. First of all, the financial crisis. Two things about the financial crisis that I think have rendered the Berkshire 13F completely irrelevant to investors from now on. The first thing is that the rescues that Buffett pulled off, everyone saw them. Everyone became very aware at how incredible those trades were. Specifically, what he did with GE, with Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and on and on. Those rescues where he was the only person willing to come in, take a preferred stock issue that was created directly for him because him investing gave these companies the imprimatur of, hey, they're going to survive, right? Like that, he had that premium that he was able to command for putting money out. The Fed just took his job away. They said, well, we don't need Warren Buffett because it turns out we can print, rates never rise, inflation never goes up. We can print enough to do all of these deals. And that's exactly what you saw happen. And in fact, the Fed did so much that there weren't even takers for the money. The Main Street lending program that they tried, it's not even for Main Street, by the way. It was for businesses with, I think, 500 employees and up. Nobody even wanted the money. That's how much money was out there. Look at SPACs. Nobody needs capital for anything from Berkshire Hathaway. Therefore, the premiums that they can command in order to dole out that capital are so low that it's almost not worth doing. So what game is he going to play? He's going to buy stocks at 25 times earnings? He doesn't want to do that either. So I think they're making some investments that look big, but they're really not in the scale of the company. Again, keep in mind the Berkshire securities portfolio, I think is like $250 billion. So they buy a little Chevron. They buy some Japanese trading banks. They do a little Verizon. These are not needle-moving investments. And I think people emotionally were disappointed that Mozart didn't, drop a new symphony to blow us all away during this last crisis. The other thing, though, Scott, I think, is that it all happened too fast. So he did bottom tick the airlines. That's true. Another curiosity. But there just weren't values created. There weren't distressed companies. Policy came in and did Berkshire's job for it. You could argue that's what policy should do. That's a whole other conversation.
But look,
so I don't think that people looking at Berkshire can look at it the same way.
No, but you have to pay attention, Josh, to the 13F, and you must want to know what he owns. How can you not want to know that or declare it irrelevant if you own Berkshire Hathaway stock?
No. If you own Berkshire Hathaway stock, of course. Of course. But even then, like, what are you going to argue with them? But I'm saying the 13F used to be relevant for tens of millions of investors because they would try to glean from it. I'll give you a great example. During the dot-com bubble, Warren Buffett was buying housing stocks. You know what he was doing? In doing that, he was positioning himself for the next bubble that we would soon have a couple of years later. He was buying aluminum siding, carpeting companies that built homes. That's how he spent that period of time in 2000 while everyone else was chasing fiber optics and dot-com stuff. So he's always been ahead of the curve. He's always been on to the next thing. This time he wasn't, and I really don't think there's any signal for non-Berkshire shareholders to take away from any of his buys and sells. He bought Barrick Gold in one quarter and sold it the next quarter. There's no rhyme or reason to that. There's nothing you could take away from that.